Over the last 5 years at Relax Running, I've worked with 300 runners from running based sports, brand new runners to sub 3 hour marathon runners. And what we've seen amongst all of these athletes is that the biggest ways to these athletes improving are far more simple than we would otherwise think. That's what I'm going to share with you today. When it comes to running improvement, we always get buried in the details, the confusion, the chaos of all the information and think we constantly have to do more. But the data from Relax Running shows quite the opposite. In fact, by pulling one simple lever in your own running training or recovery, some pretty massive running improvement can take place. Take Claire, for example. When she started with us in 2021, she was a 3-hour 26 marathon runner. After 6 months of training, decreasing the intensity and the volume, she went out and ran a 3-hour 3 marathon. The same can be done for you, and what we focused on with her can be focused on with you to see some incredible results as well. The first thing, most athletes don't need to train harder. They need to focus on efficiency. For whatever reason, the world of distance running for the most part has ignored running efficiency. Instead, we focus on training more, training harder, a combination of those two things. But when you think about running for what it is, an efficiency-based sport, the more smoothly we move, the more effective we are at running faster for longer. It just makes sense. But none of us are really educated on how to be more efficient. Through conversations with people like the Balanced Runner and Lawrence Van Lingen, I've had the privilege of being able to jump into what it actually takes to help see runners improve their performance. And one of the big standout things is this: eliminating tension. Well, there's so many different directions you can take the conversation of running efficiency improvement, from body angle to foot strike to cadence to all of these things. One of the biggest bangs for your buck in improving your running efficiency is through a release in tension. The way that I've implemented this in my own life has been incredibly helpful. In fact, simply becoming aware of the tension existing has been a huge step in helping me eliminate it. So where do we see the tension, and what is the problem with it? So many athletes store tension through their hands, their arms, their shoulders, their neck, their jaw, their shoulder blades. And naturally, when we've got all that tension, our ability to be able to breathe comfortably and rhythmically is depleted. When we start becoming aware of this tension, the most efficient way to release it is simply with an exhale. You'll be amazed at not only the feeling of release and relief that comes with that exhale, but the freedom that it opens up in our actual body to be able to move more effortlessly. If you've never done work on technique before, I highly encourage you to start taking some steps in that direction. But the very first thing you can do before that is focus on identifying and eliminating tension to open a freer, more rhythmic form of running. Number 2, nearly everyone neglects strides. Now, this makes sense because if you're training for a 5K, 10K, half marathon, naturally we fall into that mindset of, okay, we want to develop our aerobic engine. We want to get out for longer runs, even some longer, faster runs, but we don't tap into that top end speed, that high end sprint speed that we can inject within our week. The reason this is so beneficial is because just like an athlete who becomes too familiar with the marathon starts to develop a bit of a marathon shuffle, the opposite of that is also true. If we can inject some top end speed near maximum pace, our ability to run at marathon pace starts to seem a whole lot easier. Not only is this taking place because of physiological changes, you're learning to run more efficiently, you're learning to be up on your toes, you're learning to run like a sprinter, but also your mental approach to the time required to run starts to adapt. If you're running a 15-second 100, all of a sudden a 30-second split when you're trying to hit your marathon pace over 100 starts to become far more realistic. If you haven't inserted some of this speed into your training week, I would encourage you once or twice a week after your easy runs, consider adding 4 times 15 to 20 seconds near maximum effort strides and just see how that converts into you feeling over your longer, slower workouts. Secret, it's going to feel good. The third thing I want to talk about is consistency trumps perfection. We are OCD at the best of times. I get it. We want to do everything on our training routine, but life has a habit of throwing curveballs at us. Sickness, tired, family stresses, work stresses, whatever else might come up means that we're not always going to be able to hit our workouts out of the park. So rather than stressing and giving up on the rest of the week, we have to learn to adapt to the idea that not everything is going to be as it's set out. My old running coach used to always say to me, Tice, our training program is written in pencil. What that means is if something didn't quite work out, we could rub that session out, adapt, adjust, and reduce. The beauty with that is all of a sudden, training is still getting done. We don't have to stress about the fact it's not quite the same, but over the period of months and years, in my case, that radical improvement through layering training day after day, adding strength, adding fitness, sees some monstrous improvements in your running performance. So if you're in a real hurry to improve, don't forget, running has a reputation for rewarding those who are the most consistent. The fourth thing we want to talk about is strength training. Strength training is an absolute game changer, but based on the fact that so many of us overcomplicate it and try and get down into the nitty-gritty, up-to-date scientific details of what's working and what's not, we don't do anything. If you need more proof of this, jump across to the video I did where I copied Eliud Kipchoge's strength training routine for 30 days. What amazed me and so many of the people who watched it was that I trained harder in the gym than he usually did.
Well, I realized his strength training is actually way easier.
Running doesn't have to be an overly complicated sport, and the same is true for the strength training to complement your running. Some bodyweight exercises, squats and lunges, push-ups, core routine is a really great place to start. If you haven't got a routine, I'd encourage you 2 times a week, just for 30 minutes to start making room for this strength. Your body is going to thank you. The fifth thing is most of the big breakthroughs come from fixing one thing. I get it. It can be overwhelming looking at all the information available on how to improve your running performance. For one athlete, it's his nutrition. For one athlete, it's his recovery. For one athlete, it's his training. For you, you're not 100% sure. The beauty is you don't have to change everything. You can adjust one thing at a time and see what works. If you're patient with this approach, eventually you're going to pull a lever that is going to lead to a massive improvement in your own running performance. The truth is sometimes it's nice just to have ideas to bounce around with someone else who's not as emotionally connected to your running as what you are. If that is something you'd find helpful, line up a free coaching call. We also offer free 30 days of coaching on all of our personal coaching packages. So if you're looking for some guidance, some structure, a bit of a foundation to launch from, maybe that could be a place for you to start. I've linked that in the description to this video below. If there's anything that's really helped with your own running performance, let us know in the comments. But for now, happy training. Take advantage of that free 30-day coaching package, and I'll see you back here again really soon.